The 2001 season began with the Dodgers pinning their playoff hopes on what should have been one of baseball's very best starting rotations. But disaster struck early and often. Andy Ashby, Darren Dreifert, both gone for the year. Then last week, ace Kevin Brown became the third Dodger to fall victim to an elbow injury.
It's almost impossible to replace that.
But instead of folding, the Dodgers have seemingly grown stronger. Unlikely heroes have emerged on the mound and at the plate, where catcher Paul Lo Duca has teamed with veteran sluggers Gary Sheffield and Shawn Green to spark the Dodger offense. The Dodgers are on a roll. They've won 10 of 11, 20 of 26, as they fight to return to the postseason for the first time since 1996. And welcome to an ESPN baseball special coming your way here from Miller Park in Milwaukee, where the hometown Brewers are getting set to finish up a three-game series with the visiting Los Angeles Dodgers. The Dodgers are a big story right now. 10 wins in their last 11 games and hot on the heels of the Arizona Diamondbacks for first place in the National League West. Hi, everybody. Dan Shulman along with Mike McFarland here in Milwaukee. And we talked about all those veteran starters for the Dodgers who are out. One of the guys who has helped replace them is a guy we're going to see today, a rookie from Australia by the name of Luke Prokopec.
And the one word you hear about the man from down under, fearless. The young man gets on the mound and throws strikes. In 10 of his 17 starts this year, one or fewer batters walked. Gets out there, lets his defense work for him, has excellent control.
The offense is also doing its job recently, especially. The Dodgers scored 22 runs in a win over Colorado on Saturday. One of the guys who's really stepped it up recently, maybe a little more comfortable now in his second year in L.A., is Shawn Green.
Most definitely. He's given that protection to Gary Sheffield. 4 home runs in the last 4 games. And last night, indicative of the way he's swinging the bat. Rebounding from an off year last year, some would say 24 home runs, 99 RBIs. This year on pace for 40 home runs.
As for the Brewers, they've lost 11 in a row right now, the longest losing streak in the majors this season. But even if the home team isn't playing all that well, that doesn't mean it's not an enjoyable experience here at one of the newest and one of the nicest ballparks around. Miller Park, great eats as always. Come on inside.
Welcome to Friday's front row. Right this way.
Welcome back to Milwaukee. Jim Tracy, the manager of the LA Dodgers, getting so much credit in their success this year. He has really emphasized team unity and leave everything aside once you take the field. It's all about winning. And look at how they are winning. 58 and 43, 15 games over 500 the Dodgers are for the first time at any point in any season since 1997. Offensively, in spite of some injuries, the Dodgers continue to score runs. They have played very, very well offensively. The pitching's been very good over the last month or so. Paul Lo Duca is somebody you may not know all that much about, but he is having a remarkable offensive season.
Oh, just a phenomenal season, and even on defense as well. He's thrown out around 40% of the runners. In the last 31 games, though, he's hitting .371, 10 home runs, and 32 RBIs. Down there giving some protection to Eric Karros. You know about Sheffield, you know about Green, but Paul Lo Duca has been the pleasant surprise for this Los Angeles Dodger ball club.
On the mound for the Milwaukee Brewers today is rookie Ben Sheets, who was one of the Olympic heroes for the United States when they went on to win the gold medal in Sydney last year. And he's already got 10 wins on the season.
10 wins already. Last, as you see on the bottom there, last 3 starts, 0-3 with a 9 ERA. Looking to right the ship, but has one of the better curveballs in the game. He's a competitor. He's a gamer. One of the guys that they go out there and feel they have a chance to win each and every time he's on the mound.
Roof is closed here at Miller Park, and the panels out at left center and right center field are closed as well. It was not raining when we got here this morning, but it does look like it's going to get a little bit nasty out there potentially. So we are indoors today here at Miller Park to wrap up this 3-game series between the Dodgers and Brewers. The Dodgers a perfect 5-0 against Milwaukee this season. McKay Christensen, the center fielder, leads it off for the Dodgers again today. A couple of weeks ago, Christensen was toiling in anonymity in the White Sox system at AAA. The Dodgers picked him up in a minor league deal. Tom Goodwin got hurt all of a sudden, L.A. needed an outfielder. Christensen got called up. And in his first 3 games with L.A., Mike, he got 10 hits.
It's unbelievable. Last night, took an 0 for 5, and he's still hitting over 500.
He runs very well. Lots of line drives. Not a whole lot of power.
Oh, but he runs extremely well, and putting him on base with those power hitters coming up, Grzelcyk knows exactly what to do. Then Sheets needs to throw some strikes.
And he can't do it here as he walks the first batter of the game on 4 pitches. Going to bring up Wisconsin native Mark Grzelcyk, second baseman for the Dodgers, hitting .294 in the season, and a guy who has been drilled in each of the first 2 games of this series. And even in the Dodgers' last game before they got to Milwaukee, he was hit as well. Now 8 times on the season. And they haven't been ones that have brushed his jersey. I mean, he has been drilled in each of his last 3 games. And as a result, some of his teammates, Chad and Cooter, they decided to they're going to make it easier on the pitchers. If you're going to hit him, here's a target.
Aim for this.
I don't know if Grzelcyk found it very funny. Throw to keep Christensen close.
But Grzelcyk, just another facet, another cog in this machine of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Speed at the top. Tom Goodwin on the DL with the leg problem, but McKay Christensen as well has a big hole over on the right side. Mark Grzelcyk goes to the right side very well. Get on base. Let the guys that are supposed to drive the runs in do their job.
And those guys are Sheffield and Green, who are 3rd and 4th in the Dodger batting order. Fouled off to the right side. No balls and 2 strikes. The count on Grzelcyk.
And you saw him try and take a shot to the right side. Success in this Dodgers team throughout their organization is the fear of not being afraid to make an out. Go ahead and take a shot at the right side. Get the guy in scoring position, trusting that the man behind you will get the job done, drive the run in.
Well, what you say is true. Trust the guy behind you. The Dodgers, who have often been accused of a team that could not play through distractions. They're out there thinking about themselves more than the team. It seems that all of that is gone now. Gary Sheffield was made such a huge issue in the spring. He demanded to be traded, but Jim Tracy just seems to have a way of diffusing the situation and getting these guys to think about nothing else except the team. Runner bluffs the start, and Grzelcyk takes upstairs, a ball and 2 strikes.
And Jim Tracy just let it play out and said that no matter what the drill was, Gary Sheffield was there hustling early to practice, one of the last guys to leave, worked extremely hard in spring training. It was just the off-field distraction that was the problem.
Runner is going, and a line drive, or one hopper rather, no, a line drive to short for the easy double play. So one of the few things that have gone wrong for the Dodgers recently.
Mark Grzelcyk was trying to take a couple shots to right side. This time Ben Sheet comes on the inside part with a sinker. Jose Hernandez right there to make the play. Easy, unassisted double play.
With the defense now for the Milwaukee Brewers, and a last-minute change was made just before game time. Henry Blanco replacing Raul Casanova behind the plate for the Brewers. No reason given as of yet. As Gary Sheffield comes up, and he hears it from the fans. Sheffield is one of a number of people in this game to have played for both of these teams. Sheffield was with the Brewers way back in the late 80s and early 90s. He hit a tremendous home run last night to center field. 23rd home run of the season, and now he crushes the ball down the left field line, but well fouled.
In batting practice, he was sending a couple balls up there near Bernie Brewerville.
Yeah. I'm sure Bernie got the penthouse apartment because he thought he was out of range up there. 1-2 pitch. Breaking ball grounded down to third, and Loretta cannot make the play. Last night, Mark Loretta committed an error that led to 2 runs for the Dodgers. And for Loretta this season has been kind of a nightmare. His health has not been there, and when he's been on the field, he hasn't played as well as he has in recent years.
Well, this ball's hit hard, true, but Mark Loretta, a ball that he knows he should come up with. And when your ball club is going poorly, every error, every chance you give the other team to score an extra run, when you give them that extra out, always seem to pay for it. And Milwaukee Brewers, 11 straight losses, things that can't go any worse.
An error on Loretta extends the inning and brings a very hot hitter to the plate in Shawn Green. The pitch will bounce away from Blanco, but not far. Green already has more home runs this year than he had all of last year. As you mentioned, Mike, he hit 24 in his first season with the Dodgers. This season, more in line with what he did his last couple of years in Toronto. 2 years ago, he hit 42 home runs for the Blue Jays.
Well, he looks just so much more relaxed this year. His hands are free, they're easy. That effortless swing is back.
He has homered in 4 consecutive games, matching his career best. Sheets has fallen behind, 2 balls, no strikes. Sheffield at first. And for the second time already here today, Sheets struggling with his control. He walked Christensen, the leadoff man, on 4 pitches.
Well, in this situation, Shawn Green is in scoring position the way he's swinging the bat. Could speed Gary Sheffield on first. 2-0 curveball. I think they're going to try and take their chances with Eric Karros.
Green light on the 3-0. Green drives it to left field. But there to make the play is James Mouton to end the inning. So there's an error and a walk. The Dodgers leave a man on, but don't score as the Brewers get set to come up in the bottom of the first. Brewer manager Davey Lopes trying to keep his chin up and the chins of his players up in spite of this 11-game losing streak. He says all we can do is go out again tomorrow, give it our best, and see what happens. His second year as manager here in Milwaukee, and a team that a lot of people thought was going to do some very big things this year. Through the first couple of months of the season, it looked like they might do just that, but they just can't drive in that guy from third base. They can't come up with the clutch hit. There is a lot of power in the middle of this lineup, some of it belonging to right fielder Jeremy Burnitz.
And as Jeremy Burnitz goes, so goes this ball club. Example of the leadership quality of Jeremy Burnitz. Today, been struggling with the bat, had a pitcher out getting some simulated game situations thrown at him. Jeremy Burnitz out in shorts, tennis shoes, taking some live swings, trying to find his stroke.
Right-hander Luke Prokopec is the starter for the LA Dodgers. At the beginning of the season, he wasn't even in the Dodger rotation. Got called up in April when Andy Ashby went on the DL, and he was brilliant at times. He has struggled a little bit more of late, but with Ashby and Dreifert and Brown out, they need everybody to contribute.
Exactly right. And another situation, this young man could have shared the Olympic experience with Ben Sheets, but last year chose promotion to the big leagues, which I don't think was all that bad an idea. Could have played for his native Australia, but chose to go to the big leagues.
Stumbles as he attempts his first delivery. Can you imagine that kind of a decision, though? Do you represent your country at home?
Play in the big leagues. That's awfully hard, but I think the reason why he's here this year is due to the fact that they saw him in major league situations last year as well.
He starts Ronnie Belliard with a strike. Belliard accounted for both Milwaukee runs last night with a couple of solo home runs, giving him 9 on the season. Prokopec takes something off and jumps out in front 0-2. The Brewers do have some power, and they'll hit a bunch of home runs, but what Davey Lopes wants to see is the old get him on, get him over, get him in. That's for the Brewers, who are really struggling, stringing hits together. This one is popped up and back out of play. Guy you'd think of to have a 2-home run game, but especially the second one, he really crushed it.
Yeah, he did. And that's Dennis Springer, the knuckleballer Dennis Springer. That one just got out. The second one, some kind of buggy whipped. It's 3/4 the way up that pole. But like you were saying, Davey Lopes wants this team to start getting the little things done, moving the runner up, getting the runner in less than 2 outs from third base. Not relying on the 3-run homer game in and game out.
0-2 from Prokopec, down and away. The Brewers as a team have struck out the most of any team in baseball, and it's by a wide margin as well. Individually, they've got the top 2 strikeout hitters in all of baseball. Belliard's not among them, but he does strike out here. They also draw the fewest walks in the National League. So there aren't many guys on, and they strike out a ton. They're on pace to shatter the existing Major League record set by the Tigers 5 years ago.
Yeah, they're averaging 8.4 strikeouts a game, and that's, you just cannot put together a nice rally having that many strikeouts in the middle of a ball game.
Here's Mark Loretta, the third baseman who committed the error in the top half of the first inning. Loretta has been a very valuable player for the Brewers the last few years, more in a utility role. Sometimes he'll play a lot of short, other times some second, some third. This year he has found himself mainly at third base when he's been healthy. Had a thumb injury earlier in the season, but not having the kind of season that Brewer fans have come to expect of him.
Doesn't try and do too much with the ball. Known as a slap hitter, gap to gap, not much power, but puts the ball in play consistently. Perfect number 2 guy, can handle the bat when Ron Belliard gets on base.
Reason he's getting a lot of playing time now. Tyler Houston is on the DL, one of a number of Brewers injured right now. Loops it down the left field line, just foul. If you have won 11 in a row, that's a fair ball, but when you've lost 11 in a row, it's going to drop foul.
Exactly.
Take a look now defensively at what the Dodgers bring to the table. Alex Cora is a guy who doesn't have much of a bat, but gets a lot of attention for his glove.
He knows exactly what his role is out there, playing solid defensively. Last year he finished 4th among National League shortstops in fielding percentage. Very, very good double play combination with Grizzlonic.
1-2 to Loretta. Shoots it to right field. Sean Green coming on to make the catch for the second out. So 2 outs, nobody on. Here comes Devon White, who was acquired from the Dodgers. An off-season deal involving Marquise Grissom. And I think both teams probably have made out pretty well in this. White was disgruntled in L.A., wanted to change, and in Milwaukee wanted to rid themselves of a longer contract, which is what Grissom had. Both players have been 4th outfielders at times, as Grissom, who just came back off a suspension. But also at times, because of injuries, both White and Grissom have again become everyday players, and they both done pretty well.
Plus the leadership factor of Devon White in the clubhouse. Been around the game for quite a while, been through losing streaks. Sure, he's vocal in there trying to calm the teammates down, get them focused back on the task at hand, starting little instead of worrying about big. Talked about Prokopek throwing strikes on the mound, on the hill. Don't see him shake. Paul LaDuca putting the sign down, ready to throw.
Takes it high. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Notice how he elevates for effect, changes the hitter's eye level. Ball up in the zone, comes back with something off speed down in the dirt, but always around the strike zone. Expect the Brewer hitters to go up looking to swing early.
Takes a little off, and he retires the side in order, including a couple of strikeouts. Scoreless through an inning here at Miller Park. Welcome back to Milwaukee. No score through an inning here between the Dodgers and Brewers. A very hot team and a very cold team right now. L.A. getting back into the thick of things in the National League West, chasing the Diamondbacks. The Brewers 13 games under 500. That's the lowest they've been this season. As Eric Karras leads it off here in the second for L.A. The longtime Dodger first baseman, hitting .251 on the year with 9 home runs. He'll be followed by Paul LaDuca and then Adrian Beltre, as they get a look at Ben Sheets. He drops it a breaking ball, 1-1. You start to look at some of the individual numbers some of the Dodgers are putting up, and you just can't figure how they've won as many games as they have, but it's been a real group effort. White makes the catch. Karras is retired.
Well, just like any successful ball club, night in and night out, there's a different hero. Somebody's been stepping up. LaDuca, Green, Sheffield. up and down the lineup, and Bernie's going, man, is this thing smoking.
So you want to be a mascot, huh? You think it's all glory, all fame. Well,
is anybody looking at me? You think anybody sees me?
But between innings, he's cooling himself off with a Giant fan. Now this is live. He's back at the top of his new yellow slide. He's on a perch way up in left center field. I mean, way up there. Paul LaDuca comes up. During BP, Gary Sheffield hit a ball into the bottom of that slide.
Right in that area. Wow, folks, that is a bolt.
LaDuca with the ground ball down to third. Long throw for Loretta to get him 2 down.
Ben Sheets getting on the hill, throwing strikes as well. Saw the nice breaking ball to Eric Karros. Important for somebody in this rotation to step up and throw a gem. Go out there, shut down an offense completely on the other side. Let your hitters do their thing, and just basically let this ball club try and relax again. Ben Sheets as good as anybody to go out and throw a gem today.
Adrian Beltre, the batter for the Dodgers. Beltre, the third baseman, got a very late start to the year, had an emergency appendectomy in the winter in the Dominican Republic, and developed a post-operative infection. Took a long time to heal. He lost about 25 pounds, and he wasn't activated until the middle of May, but he's getting stronger and better each and every week. A very big second half last year, so maybe it's in the cards for him again this year.
Exactly, and what another fat to this lineup. Throw Adrian Beltre in there. You know the power, you know the strength, but dropping 25 pounds is awful lot of weight for this young man to have lost, and like you said, finally coming around and feeling comfortable again.
Chases the high fastball. Sheets picks up his first strike out of the game, and the Dodgers are gone in order in the second. Still scoreless here in Milwaukee.
Hi, everybody. Bill Pito in the studio. A three-way trade to pass along between Oakland, Kansas City, and Colorado. Jermaine Dye from the Royals to the Athletics. Nafi Perez from the Rockies to the Royals. And 2 minor leaguers go from Oakland to Colorado. Much more on this trade coming up. Sports Center, 6 Eastern. Susie Colbert, Chris McKendry, Mike Greenberg.
Bill back here in Milwaukee. Richie Sexson coming up to begin the bottom of the second. No score in this game between the Brewers and Dodgers. Sexson, 249, 23 home runs, but a major league leading 116 strikeouts so far this year. Let me ask you about the trade. Jermaine Dye, you're very familiar with the Royals and with the A's, obviously. What do you think about that three-way?
Well, I think that the Oakland Athletics got a quality player, obviously, in Jermaine Dye. He's going to be energized going into a playoff situation. Definitely helps them out immensely.
Sexson with a line drive, base hit into right center field, cut off by Green, and the leadoff man is aboard.
Kansas City got Nafi Perez. They have an outstanding shortstop in Ray Sanchez already, so you have to believe that the Royals are going to deal Ray Sanchez somewhere, possibly to Atlanta. You've heard that rumor as well, but seeing Jermaine Dye go from Kansas City to Oakland, you just hope that in that situation, he's having a subpar year, but all of a sudden he's in the excitement of a winning ball club, excitement of a pennant race. You hope those numbers explode for him.
Also a sign that the A's are going to go for it and hang on to all of those potential free agents, make a run for the postseason again this year. And Jeremy Burnitz is the batter, the right fielder for the Brewers. He's hit 20 home runs on the season, but his average is down to 242, and another guy who strikes out a lot, already 95 times.
That just gets back to the philosophy of this ball club. You have Rod Carew, who's a singles hitter, working with a power swinging, lift and separate type of ball club, indicative of the way things are now in the major leagues. 0-2 swings are very similar to 2-0 swings.
Especially if you're Burnitz, as he hits a fly ball to deep right field and gone. A 2-run home run for Jeremy Burnitz on a 1-1 pitch. His 21st homer of the season, and the Brewers take the early 2-0 lead. Well,
believe it or not, this ball actually got in on Jeremy Burnitz. But talking to him earlier today when he was out in the simulated game, ball is down and in right where the left-handers love it. He was just trying to stay back and see the ball as long as possible. Little bit in, long enough here in Miller Park.
And you can see it's not like anybody's overjoyed. It's almost like a sense of relief for the Brewers when they can take an early lead instead of always playing from behind, which is what they have done through most of this 11-game losing streak.
Exactly right. Prokopek threw the fastball in and then sped Jeremy Burnitz's bat up, down and in with a little cutter. Jeremy was all over it.
Jose Hernandez, the shortstop, is up. Another guy with some power, 17 home runs. But on the other side of the coin, also a lot of strikeouts, 110. Second in the majors to Richie Sexson. He rolls one out to short. Alex Cora is there, and that's the first out of the inning. Jeremy Burnitz, Richie Sexson, and when healthy, Jeff Jenkins really make up the heart of this lineup. Jenkins right now is day-to-day with a shoulder problem. He's also got a sore hand. They really need the big guys to do what they're capable of, but maybe even more than that, they need the guys at the top of the order, as you said, to get on for the heart of the order.
Exactly right. Set the table today. Belliard and Loretta. Get on there for Richie Sexson and Jeremy Burnitz.
Here's James Mouton getting a start in left field for the injured Jeff Jenkins. Mouton hitting .281. For Luke Prokopek, that is the 21st home run that he has given up this year in 106 innings, so about a homer every 5 innings. But of the 21, that's just the third that has been a multiple-run home run. 18 of the 21 have been solo shots.
Well, you're sitting on the bench. You know that Luke Prokopek throws a lot of strikes. Why not go up there and be aggressive early in the count? Second pitch, swing the bat. Jeremy Burnitz not afraid to lift and separate. I don't think he's going up there looking to hit it the other way ever. But again, talking about him trying to stay behind the ball, see it as long as possible.
Fouled straight back, still 0-2 on Mouton. Is there anybody in baseball who, as you put it, lifts and separates like Jeremy Burnitz?
Yeah, probably Jeff Jenkins. You're on the same ball club.
Burnitz with home run number 21. The Brewers, in an 11-game losing streak, lead the Dodgers 2-0 here in the second inning. Mouton strikes out, number 3 for Prokopek. Back to the studio. Here's Bill Pito.
Ken, thank you. Atlanta comes into its game today. One game in front of Philadelphia. The Braves taking on the Reds. Paul Bacco here with the Braves down 2-1 in the fourth. And that's going to go all the way to the wall. It's going to be a triple, and it's going to drive in 2. So the Braves down 2-1. Just like that, they now lead at 3-2 in the bottom of the fifth.
Bill talked about how close things are atop the National League East. Atlanta a game up on Philadelphia. In the Central, Chicago 3 up on Houston. In the West, Arizona a half game up on these Dodgers. It's going to be a wild couple of months in the National League.
Great September.
Henry Blanco is the batter. No balls and 2 strikes on the Milwaukee catcher, who's hitting only .204. Richie Sexson with a leadoff base hit this inning and then scored on the Burnitz home run. Another strikeout for Prokopek, his 4th in 2 innings, but he is stung by Jeremy Burnitz. A 2-run blast to right field, his 21st of the season, and Milwaukee has an early lead.
Bill Pito back in the studio. We showed you the Braves. How about the Phillies taking on Montreal? Philadelphia 1 game behind Atlanta as play begins. Ryan Hunter, just fair. The bases were loaded. 2 runs come in to score, and it's now 7-2 Philly playing the top of the 5th inning.
I got to expect with the trade deadline, the first trade deadline less than a week away, that Braves and Phillies are going to get it busy. San Francisco picked up Andres Galarraga yesterday. The 3-way deal officially announced today. A lot of talk around these Dodgers that they are looking for some help. Alex Cora, the shortstop, leads off the 3rd. 2-0, the Brewers leading. And even shortstop, Cora's position, as he pops one up out of play, has been mentioned as maybe a spot that the Dodgers would like to improve, but when you look at all their big studs who are hurt out of the rotation, you've got to think that, like so many other teams, the Dodgers are looking for starting pitching.
Everybody's looking for starting pitching up and down the game. Just who's willing to give up what. But something's going to have to pop here next couple days.
No balls, 2 strikes on Cora, hitting .227. Did have 3 hits in last night's game. Stays alive.
This is a very important inning for Ben Sheets. For morale purposes, go out and throw up a 0. Your team spots you with 2 runs. Come out, throw up a 0. You have the bottom of the order. Get your team back in there, swinging the bat. You're going to lead off the inning with Ben Sheets next inning. But then the top of the order, go up there, slam the door right now, get your team back in there swinging the sticks for you.
Until the last couple of starts really had been the most impressive starter that the Brewers have had this season. He was their all-star representative. As he gets a weak ground ball down to first, Sheets covering to take the throw from Sensen for the first out of the inning. Ben Sheets, of course, with 10 wins this year and the all-star representative of the Brewers, but a lot of America got a chance to know him last September at the Olympics in Sydney. Ben Sheets pitched brilliantly 3 times, including the gold medal game, shutting out Cuba. Tommy Lasorda, overjoyed, another Dodger-Brewer connection. Ben Sheets, a day after the Olympics, came back here to Milwaukee and was given a standing ovation at a Brewers game, and he has lived up to expectations now in his rookie season, already a 10-game winner.
Very much so. Well-deserved standing ovations. Mankiewicz, Lasorda, Pat Borders, former big leaguer.
Here's Prokopek. 4 for 27 on the season, a 148 hitter. Now, Prokopek could have gone to the Olympics, as we mentioned, to play for Australia, but given the choice between a September call-up and the Olympics, he decided to go to the big leagues, saying, I've been trying to become a big leaguer for the last 6 years. Now's my chance. I've got to say yes.
Yeah, you can't fault them. You don't know if they're going to ask you back again or not.
1 and 2. Both Sheets and Prokopek just 23 years of age. And Sheets comes up with his second strikeout of this game. Now some flavor from around Miller Park, where the All-Star Game is going to be held next year. Up on the Wall of Fame, they have paid tribute to Milwaukee's Negro League history, which includes, well, Henry Aaron, who played for the Milwaukee Braves and the Milwaukee Brewers, also started out in the Negro Leagues, and some of Wisconsin's Hall of Famers. Bucketfoot Al Simmons, one of the best players to ever come out of the state of Wisconsin, and Miller Park will be on display again less than a year from now at the All-Star Game. Had a ceremony here yesterday where Mark Bresolonic, who is from Wisconsin, and Jim Gantner, great player for the Brewers, and some of their heyday years back in the early 80s, they were both honored as part of a pregame ceremony. You got to remember your own. You got to take care of those who have come from your neck of the woods.
Very much so. Great baseball community, great sports community here in Milwaukee.
There's a strike, 2-1 to Christensen, who walked back in the first and was doubled off on a line drive. Christensen with a fly ball into right center field, and Devon Winder loping over to make the catch and end the inning. There's that big inning for Ben Sheets, and the Brewers still have a 2-0 lead. Welcome back to Milwaukee. 2-0. Brewers lead, bottom of the third. Pitcher Ben Sheets leads it off against Luke Prokopek. Looks at the ball 1 high. Sheets has pitched very well today. Whether he's going to hit is another story. Look at those numbers. And in the 30 at-bats, so he has made 29 outs. 20 of them have been strikeouts.
So I was going to say that skews everything off. That's what's causing that number to be so big.
Davey Lopes says, I don't care who makes contact, just somebody made contact. And even though they're leading 2-0, they've already struck out 4 times in the first couple of innings. 1-2 from Prokopek, up and away. And this is a guy, he never struck out. He always made contact. He went the other way. He moved the runners along. But the hitters are not able to do that right now, as Sheets is called out on a pitch to the outside corner. 5 strikeouts for Prokopek. Back to Bill Pito.
Dan, thank you. In the NL Central, it's the Stros and the Cards. Houston coming in 3 games behind Chicago. Albert Pujols for the Cardinals. Way back in the first and just gone. His 24th. And then Richard Hidalgo in the 4th with the Stros down 2-1. That drives in a run, ties it at 2 in the 4th, and it's still tied at 2 in the 4th.
Bill, here we're getting a look at 2 of the better rookies in the National League, the 2 starting pitchers, Prokopek and Ben Sheets. But with the kind of numbers that Albert Pujols is putting up this year for St. Louis, it looks like he's the front runner for the Rookie of the Year award.
Hands down.
Jimmy Rollins, the shortstop in Philadelphia, also having a very good season. He went to the All-Star game. Belliard grounds it in the hole. 1 bounce across the infield in time to get him. Dug out smartly by Karros at first, and Belliard is retired.
Oh, what a play by Alex Cora. Belliard smokes this ball in the hole. Watch the footwork of Alex Cora. He doesn't have time to get that back leg planted and jump and throw, get any momentum on there. Nice scoop by Eric Karros on the other end. But just to get that much velocity on that throw is incredible. The strength in the midsection, in the stomach area.
Wow. 2 down in the inning, and here's Loretta.
His momentum was taking him so far into left field and still got enough on that throw.
And Karros at the other end was expecting a true hop and didn't get it as the ball barely came up after the bounce.
Well, you saw a good first baseman always start low and finish high. Stayed down on that ball. Let his great eye-hand coordination take over. Great scoop.
Loretta flied out his first time up. 2 outs, nobody on here in the Brewer 3rd. Ground ball over the mound. Grzelcyk to his right. Another low throw, and this one Karros cannot come up with cleanly.
And this is the easier of the 2 scoops. Last 2 plays, Eric Karros getting tested. Grzelcyk gets to that backside with the jump throw, just doesn't get it there in time, and Eric Karros hung out to dry. His momentum off balance, doesn't quite finish that throw off. One of the few Eric Karros does not come up with.
An error on Grzelcyk is the story. The inning continues, and Devon White comes to the plate. White takes it low, ball 1. He struck out to end the first.
We'll see if the Brewers can take advantage of a miscue. Teams have been doing it against them for the last 11 days.
White hitting in the 3 spot today. At times also leads off for the Brewers. Davey Lopes, understandably, has been tinkering with his batting order a lot in an effort to try and get a combination that's going to work. But right now, they don't have what you would call a prototypical number 3 hitter, nor do they really have an ideal leadoff hitter right now.
Right.
Belliard is the leadoff batter today.
And Jeff Jenkins would fill in there in the middle as well. Devon White getting close to 40 years old. Doesn't have quite the speed. Can't be the leadoff hitter that they need him to be. Just due to the physical toll that it would take.
Long before Andrew Jones was gliding after baseballs, though, and making it look easy, Devon White was doing that kind of a thing back in his 20s. He started off with the Angels. Won a couple of World Series in Toronto, won another one with Florida. Swing and a miss, and Prokopek will get him. 6 strikeouts through 3 innings for Prokopek, but it's the Brewers who still have their 2-0 lead here in Milwaukee. Mark Grzelcyk leading off the 4th for the Dodgers. Dan Shulman and Mike McFarland with you here at Miller Park in Milwaukee. 2-0 Brewers. Grzelcyk, Sheffield, and Green, the 2, 3, and 4 hitters coming up for LA against Ben Sheets, who has not allowed a base hit through the first 3 innings. Walked 1 batter. There was an error behind him. 1-1 the count on Grzelcyk, who lined into a double play his first time up. Breaking ball's fouled off right side. 1-2. The count on the Milwaukee native Grzelcyk, who appears to have had the target taken off his uniform before he walked out for the ball game.
It's early.
Well, the 2 times that I've seen him hit too, it's been right in the ribs, right in the side. I mean, painful. Awkward swing from Drezolonic for the strikeout as we send you back to Bill Pito.
All right, Dan, we showed you that Houston was all tied up with St. Louis. How about the first place Cubs? Taking on Pittsburgh, Joe Girardi here. Scoreless game in the second. Outfield playing in, and it goes all the way to the Ivy out there. Girardi is going to end up with a triple and an RBI. It puts Chicago up 1-0. It's now 2-0 in the bottom of the third.
You can't play Little League on Joe Girardi. You can't play him shallow.
Here's Gary Sheffield getting booed again.
Oh, my goodness.
That's his response as he drills it a ton to left field. Take that, Milwaukee fans, says former Brewer Gary Sheffield. And the Dodgers are on the board now, trailing 2-1. His second home run in as many games here in Milwaukee.
You want to talk about punishing of baseball. Gary Sheffield going up, looking for a ball out over the plate. First pitch fastball from Ben Sheets. Folks, this is called middle.
Just incredible bat speed for Gary Sheffield. Home run number 24. Here is Shawn Green. Sheffield hit 1 last night. Had 2 homers in a game on Saturday and had 2 homers in a game last Thursday. So he's got 6 home runs in the last week.
And when he gets on one of those streaks, you need a hot hitter behind him, and that's why they've been going so well. Shawn Green has been hot behind Gary Sheffield. You saw in the first inning with the 2-0 count, Ben Sheets throwing him a curveball, getting him to 3-0, lined out with the 3-0 count with the green light, but still.
Fly ball to center field. White still going back. And Shawn Green has hit another one. 5 consecutive games with a home run for Dodger outfielder Shawn Green. And just like that, L.A. has tied it. Second time in as many games, Sheffield and Green go back-to-back.
Got me with the curveball last time, not this time. Dead center field, Shawn Green, staying behind the ball so well. Talked about how effortless his swing is. Beautiful arc, nice loose hands. Gary Sheffield seeing some good pitches because Shawn Green is on fire.
Home run number 28 for Green, home run number 24 for Sheffield, and it's tied at 2 here in the 4th inning. Eric Karros is the batter. Whereas Sheffield's looked like it was shot out of a cannon, Green seemed to stay up there forever before it came down.
Well, when you can hear the ball off the bat here in the press box, you know it was pretty well struck. And Devon White kind of gave that one a little courtesy jump. That was well on up over the fence. Devo likes to just kind of lope back there, effortless runner.
Grounded down to third. 2 hopper for Loretta, and Karros is retired for the second out. The 9th time of this season the Dodgers have gone back-to-back, and 3 of those occasions have been Gary Sheffield and then Shawn Green. Here comes Paul LaDuca.
Manager Jim Tracy, I believe he likes that firepower.
How about what this guy has given him?
Exactly.
Look at these numbers. LaDuca had a breakout game. It was on ESPN. Rick Sutcliffe and I were doing the game in L.A. against Colorado. An extra inning win for the Dodgers. LaDuca went 6 for 6 in that game with a home run, scored the winning run in extra innings, and has been on fire ever since. He's hitting .345. He's got 16 home runs, and he's only struck out 14 times.
In one of those grooves where a ball looks like a volleyball coming up there. He's not afraid to take a good healthy hack at the ball when he's in a hitter's count. He has the knack of battling. He's 0-2 count, sticks his nose in it right there. Nice breaking ball by Ben Sheets down in the dirt. has the ability to put the ball in bat. Put the bat on the ball, flick it away, buy yourself another strike. A 9-1-1 emergency swing until the pitcher gives in, puts it in play hard.
Fouls it back again. LaDuca with a chance if he could keep up this pace and hit more homers than the number of strikeouts that he has. The last hitter to do that was George Brett in 1980, and Brett's remarkable season when he hit .390. He hit 24 homers and struck out only 22 times. LaDuca's a guy who didn't get drafted out of high school, didn't get any scholarship offers, went to a junior college, hit a ton. Then went to Arizona State, hit a ton again, but he didn't really have a position. Played a lot of first base then. Dodgers made him into a catcher a couple of years after they drafted him in the 25th round, but he has had years and years in the minors. So it's not like he's all of a sudden exploded onto the scene. He's been paying his dues for many years, but it's just at the major leagues he's now getting his first chance.
Exactly. They look at him, so he's too small, doesn't have that good an arm, but the size of a young man's heart and the determination that he has. Plays a solid first base, and he's throwing out 40% of the runners this year as well.
Ben Sheets just misses a ball and 2 strikes.
He's one of those grinders. 8 years, those are some decent numbers.
30 homers and a lot of at-bats. 8 years down to the minors. He's got 16 home runs already this season at the major league level.
Better post-game spread.
1-2 the count on LaDuca. Not only has he played catcher and first, he has spotted in the outfield and right and left. He has led off a lot for the Dodgers. Also can hit down here in the 5 or 6 spots, driving some runs. Chase is there, and he's gone. Sheets comes up with strikeout number 4, but also gives up back-to-back home runs to the Dodgers sluggers here in the 4th inning. Gary Sheffield and Shawn Green go deep, and this game is tied at 2.
Bill Pito back in the studio. The Braves and the Reds. It's Paul Bacco again. Earlier a double that drove in a couple, and here with Atlanta at 4-2. In the 6th, it's Bacco again over the wall. Ground rule double. 2 more RBI, 6-2.
Bill, thank you. Here, 2-2. Dodgers and the Brewers, 4th inning. Sheffield and Green going back-to-back in the top of the 4th. Here is Richie Sexson leading off the bottom of the 4th. He'll be followed by Jeremy Burnitz, who launched a 2-run home run his first time up, accounting for the Milwaukee runs today. Big Richie Sexson picked up just about a year ago in a trade from Cleveland that really energized the Brewers, and they played very well the last 2 months of last season. Pops it way up in the air in the left center field. Clay Christensen is over. There's one down. Now Jeremy Burnitz is coming up. A chance to look at his home run, his swing.
Yeah, we talked about a controlled violence. Look at how the weight is staying back. He's trying to see it. Watch his hands, how quiet they are, trying to see the ball as long as possible. If you could stop it there, see the follow-through, extension through and up. But notice the balance. Yes, it's a violent swing, but watch at the point of contact, head directly on the ball. Look at that. That is a beautiful left-handed swing. It's the follow-through that everybody sees, that notices the violence of the swing. But boy, once that barrel gets into the zone, it gets out of there in a hurry.
Now 21 homers, 65 RBIs on the season for Burnitz. During a break, I mentioned to you another left-handed batter that I thought of when you see this swing, Phil Plantier, who didn't have the kind of major league success, had some good success early, but another guy, a left-handed batter as well, who swung from the heels, it seemed, every time up.
Exactly, and boy, the thump that Phil Plantier would put on his back, you could hear the bat whipping against the broad of his back every time on every swing.
Prokopek falls behind 3-0, and with a green light, Burnitz pops it up. Beltre Collincourt does a pretty good impersonation of a guy who couldn't see the ball, but he was there to make the catch for the second out.
Oh, and when things are going poorly for you, Jerry Burnitz just trying to do something to get this team going. 3-0, expands his strike zone a little bit. Watch the difference in this swing, staying back. Ball is up. Notice how he jumped up. The ball was elevated. You saw his body raise up trying to catch up instead of keeping his hands on top of the ball, staying on top of the pitch. Gets underneath it on a 3-0 hack.
2 outs in the inning, nobody on. The frustrated Burnitz back to the dugout, and here's Jose Hernandez. Hernandez, back on July the 7th, 18 days ago, had a 2-home run game. He does not have an extra base hit of any kind since then. Grounded out his first time up today. One of the dangers, I guess, when you have a little success, and it'd be interesting to track Ronnie Belliard, Davey Lopes' leadoff hitter, after he hits 2 home runs last night. Guys who don't hit a ton of home runs, when they do have some success and hit for some power, sometimes do they start thinking about hitting bombs and change their stroke.
Most definitely. All of a sudden, their swing becomes body-oriented instead of the hands that got them those home runs in the first place. Being nice and loose and reacting to the pitch, instead trying to muscle up and tensing everything up instead of being nice and loose throughout the body. Letting the bat be an extension of your hands.
Hernandez is gone. 7 strikeouts for Prokopek. A 2-2 tie through 4 innings here at Miller Park in Milwaukee, where Robin Yount is among those that Brewer fans get a chance to see every day on their way to the...
The Great Outdoor Games, presented by Jeep Liberty, this Thursday, 8 Eastern on ESPN.
So you thought it was only first base coaches who stood over there with a stopwatch doing something important. He's too flat.
2 seconds.
Can't run on him. 2-2 tie, 5th inning here at Milwaukee. Adrian Beltre hits the first pitch of the inning into center field for Devon White.
That's what some of my bats did, too. 2 seconds.
Just came apart.
Just get imploded.
Beltre is retired. He's now over 2. Alex Cora is going to come up. It's the log rolling event that really intrigues me.
That and the dogs jumping in the water.
Yeah. All starts tomorrow night on ESPN. Here it's tied at 2. Each team 2 runs on 2 hits with an error. Home runs accounting for all the offense today. Sheffield and Brink back-to-back for the Dodgers. Burnett's 2-run shot for Milwaukee. Grounded foul. No balls and 2 strikes on Cora, who grounded out his first time up.
Brewers keeping up with their trend. Striking out, home runs, counting for the runs.
Nothing much in between. Cora lays off.
Ben Sheets with the high fastball. Pitches up effectively. Has that 12-6 curveball right over the top. Now a chance to come inside and jam him again or bounce a ball in the dirt, but pitches up very well for a young kid. It's a very good idea about changing the eye levels of a batter.
Coming off his toughest start as a big leaguer. 3-2 now the count on Cora. Last time out at San Diego, Ben Sheets went just 3 2/3, gave up 9 earned runs, and in the first inning of that game against the Padres, gave up back-to-back homers to Ryan Klesko and to Phil Nevin. Bob Apodaca, the pitching coach of the Brewers, looking on as Cora takes low. He's given up back-to-back homers again here today. Runner at first, 1 out, as we show you a little bit more here at Miller Park. The 300 Club offering year-round food, all kinds of memorabilia, and a panoramic view of this ballpark. That memorabilia on display comes courtesy of the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown.
Make no mistake about it, they did this place right.
Yeah.
A beautiful, beautiful facility.
The roof can be open or closed, and panels out in left center and right center. You can see there the panels are closed right now. They can completely close this building, or they can have the roof on with the panels open. If it's sunny but windy, they can have the panels closed but the roof off. No matter how you slice it, it's a big step up from Old County Stadium, isn't it?
Oh my goodness.
Not your favorite spot on the tour? Prokopek gets the bunt down, and Sheets will get him. Sacrifice moves the runner to second with 2 down as we go to Bill Pito.
right, Dan, thanks. As we check in on the Stros and the Cards, it's a 2-2 game in the fourth. Pitcher Dustin Hermanson, the chopper Julio Lugo charging, and it gets past Tony Eusebio at the plate. One run is in, another run is in, and it's now 5-2 Cards in the bottom of the fifth.
Get a chance to see the Cardinals on Sunday Night Baseball this week against the Chicago Cubs. As Big Mac and Sammy get together once again. Now let's go back to County Stadium. I thought every day in the big leagues was a great day, no matter what the facilities were like.
It is. That field was a swamp. The locker rooms were dank and small.
Okay, Christensen looks at a strike.
The outfield had a big speaker stand just in the right slot for pitchers like Bill Wegman. The ball would come out of it, and some of my pitchers, Mark Gubazoff, Brett Saberhagen, and on one of these cloudy days like it is today, you couldn't see the ball coming in, especially catching.
0-1 the count on to Christensen. Pops it up in foul territory. And on to make the catch is Loretta to end the inning. Through 4.5 here at brand new Miller Park, tied at 2.
Bill Pino back in the studio. John Lieber's had a banner year for the Cubs. Got a 2-0 lead in the fourth, but Brian Giles here with 2 out, a swing, and a 2-run home run, his 24th of the year, just like that. 2-2, Pirates and the Cubs in the fifth.
You know, a month ago today, these Milwaukee Brewers had just come off a sweep of the Chicago Cubs. They were only 3.5 back of the Cubs, a half game out of the wild card race, but in a month, look at the ground that they have lost on the Cubs and Astros and everybody else. Milwaukee 5-22 in its last 27 games, conversely over the identical time frame. The Dodgers 20-6. Look at what has happened to the Brewers in the last month.
ERA up, batting average down.
That pitch lined down the left field line of the foul. 1-1 the count on Mouton. And as we mentioned, they've got some injuries. Tyler Houston, third baseman, on the DL. Jeff Jenkins is out right now, day-to-day, with a bad shoulder. Jeff D'Amico, Paul Rigdon, 2 starting pitchers are on the DL, but everybody goes through injuries. And talk to the Boston Red Sox about injuries and look at how they've recovered.
Yeah, that's true, but the bench factor for the Boston Red Sox a little bit better, and that's been a huge factor here in Milwaukee. And Jeff Jenkins was trying to play through a lot of pain, his hands and his shoulder, barking, and yet he's still out there trying to compete, trying to do whatever it takes to win a ball game. And admirable though it may be, awfully hard when you're struggling offensively and trying to do certain things that your body just isn't capable of doing.
Had some tests done on that shoulder yesterday, still listed as day-to-day. Down and away, 2-2 on Mouton. The Dodgers, conversely, they've had a ton of injuries as well, and they've had some real surprise stories this year. Prokopek is one of them. Oladuka is one of them. Back in May, Marquise Grissom was carrying the team offensively for a while when Sheffield and Karras were hurt. Green was struggling. Jim Tracy has used every inch of this 25-man roster this year, and everyone has contributed. Chasing, and Mouton is gone. That's 8 strikeouts already for Prokopek, and that's a new career high.
Luke Prokopek, outstanding little slider location with the fastball inside. Gets James Mouton on the breaking ball down and away. 2-strike pitch. Watch the late break in action on this. James Mouton all set up by the fastballs inside, making the hitter expand his zone.
Now Henry Blanco, he struck out his first time up. The strikeout problems continue here for the Brewers. We showed you earlier they're on pace to shatter the major league record set by the Tigers back in '96. In foul territory, sprinting over, sliding over is LaDuca, but he can't make a play. Guys have set or will set career highs for strikeouts against Milwaukee this year. What's frightening, if you're a Brewer fan, is Milwaukee hasn't played Arizona yet this year. they may get 2 looks at Randy Johnson in
man.
September.
And that other kid, that Schilling character, he can throw a few K-balls up there himself.
I mean, against normal teams, you can pretty much chalk up Johnson for 14 or 16 and Schilling for 11 or 12. Who knows what they're going to do against the Brewers? Down and away, 2-2. Got a shot of Rod Carew. You talked about how different he is, or was, as a hitter than his current hitters are. How do you bring those 2 philosophies together?
Well, I talked to Jeremy Burnitz about that point exactly.
Blanco with a line drive into left center, a base hit. He's going for 2. And he is in there and ahead first slide. Blanco making something happen.
Well, the strikeout factor starts to wear on you mentally and physically, and you get up there and just not wanting to strike out. And Henry Blanco gets a breaking ball down out over the plate, smokes it up the left center field alley, and he's thinking double right off the bat. McKay Christensen with just a little bobble allows Henry Blanco to slide in safely at second base. Here comes the little bobble. Still recovers in time, but because Henry Blanco was busting out of the box from the word go, not taken for granted the single, he beats that throw to second base. Nice hustle, Henry Blanco.
A 1-out double for Blanco. Now here's Ben Sheets. Struck out his first time up. Gary Allenson, the third base coach, came halfway down the line to tell Sheets what he wanted him to do. We talked about Sheets' numbers his first time up. 31 at-bats, 1 hit, 21 strikeouts this year. So unless he's got some magic potion he put in his back pocket when he got close to him.
Well, he gave him a shot, allowing him to take a swing first pitch.
And again.
There's that nice little cut fastball from Prokopech. You got to take a shot. You might as well. You're going to score on a base hit from Ron Belliard at second base as well as third base. Doesn't really matter. Try and get an inning started with 1 out.
Upstairs. This is the first chance today for a Milwaukee hitter to come to the plate with a runner in scoring position. Since the All-Star break, the Brewers are hitting .137, 10 for 73 with a man in scoring position. The 1-2. And a swing and a miss. Another strikeout for Prokopech. That's number 9. More baseball coming your way tonight, both here on ESPN and also on ESPN2. On ESPN, it's 7 Eastern. It's the Indians in a battle with the Twins in the AL Central taking on the Chicago White Sox. Over on ESPN2, it's the Boston Red Sox hosting the Toronto Blue Jays. Regional coverage on both networks of the Yankees and Tigers. For more MLB coverage, log on to ESPN.com. The Red Sox are getting all kinds of potentially good news these days after all the injuries that they have battled through this year. Johnny Belliard the batter. Brett Saberhagen is expected to be back and make a start Friday night. The guy you were talking about earlier. Nomar Garciaparra is out on a rehab. He could be back by the weekend. And Carl Everett is on rehab as well. May just be a few days away.
And David Cone pitching extremely well, coming back from his arm problems.
Belliard with a bouncing ball to short. Good throw by Cora to get him. Blanco with a 1-out double, but he is stranded at second base, and it's still tied at 2. Tied at 2 through 5 innings here in Milwaukee. Going to show you another section of Miller Park, and this is off limits to most of us, including myself. Now I can get in there, the clubhouse, but take us through the facilities from a player's perspective.
Well, the dueling hot tubs there, and this is the SwimX that you can get in there and swim against the current. Really, really good to stretch out and stretch those muscles. And holy smokes!
I know.
I don't know why they can bomb away. That's an NFL weight room. Beautiful, beautiful facility. Spared no expense on the home side, as you should. Shouldn't spare any expense. Amount of money you spend on the ball players nowadays, you want them at their peak performance level, and you give them the opportunity to do so in their home locker room.
Now, because of this beautiful new facility, the Brewers have more than doubled their average attendance through this point of the season. They're averaging better than 35,000 fans per game, even though they're not playing any better this year than they were last year. That's not that unusual for a new ballpark. You can see they've already drawn more this year than they drew all of last season.
Well, now you see the amenities that they have here, and all of a sudden you have a place that free agents will want to come to. Hitters hitting in this ballpark, seeing the facilities, the weight rooms, the swim-ex that aren't exactly inexpensive. But now coming to work at an office like this is a very, very nice thing to do. And then it's a little recruitment process for the free agents.
Mark Grudzielanek strikes out for the second time today.
And Ben Sheets just blew this ball right by Mark Grudzielanek. Very explosive fastball from Sheets. Deceptive, fluid motion. Ball explodes out of his hand. Gets in on him in a hurry.
And you can tell from the reaction that Gary Sheffield is coming up. Reached on an error in the first, homered in the fourth. His 5th home run in 6 games against Milwaukee pitching this year. This is the final game of 6 meetings between these two teams this season. The Dodgers have won the first 5. Sheffield, of course, was a Brewer. Broke in with Milwaukee back in 1988 and stayed with Milwaukee through the end of the 91 season, which was a very difficult year for him. Injury plagued, hit under 200. Hard to believe that. Red hot right now. He has since gone on to San Diego, Florida, and then Los Angeles. And it looked like at the beginning of this year, maybe somewhere else, Atlanta or one of the New York teams. But as you said earlier, Jim Tracy just diffused the problem. Sheffield appears to be happy. They're getting a close look at him here as he takes outside.
A half a game back. No reason not to be happy.
Home run number 24, his last time up. Pops this one way up in the air for Hernandez, the shortstop. 2 down. Well, we spoke with Jim Tracy, the manager of the Dodgers, about all those distractions he's managed to avoid.
My job is to take care of what goes on and takes place in between the lines, and there has been no time whatsoever, even when it was going on during the course of spring training, where he came out to do his work on a given day and was a distraction to anything that was going on or the course of action that we were taking and the direction that we were headed as a ball club.
Of course, the he is Gary Sheffield, and the distraction in the spring is when Sheffield demanded a trade. But even though Tracy, he has come to a very high-profile organization without a high profile of his own, but it seems to be a perfect fit. Green with a fly ball into left field. Mouton is there. And it's a 1-2-3 inning for Ben Sheets. Locked in a 2-2 tie here in Milwaukee. In the 4th inning, Gary Sheffield, Shawn Green both homered off Ben Sheets, but in the top of the 6th inning, Sheets got both of them out. What did he do different?
Watch Henry Blanco setting up inside. You're going to try and jam Gary Sheffield. This one gets left out a little bit, but this was the 4th pitch inside to Gary Sheffield. I'm not going to let you get extended this time. And Shawn Green hit a breaking ball in. Again, pounding him in with the fastball. This one runs out just a little bit more, but notice how Henry Blanco was setting up. See the maturity of that young pitcher, Ben Sheets. Pounding these hitters in, saying, fine, I'm going to have to establish the inside corner of the plate again. A little nervous. But I got to take back part of the inside corner of the plate, force you guys to start swinging at my pitches rather than trying to get a head out over. I'm going to take a shot inside.
Mark Loretta, the batter, leading off the bottom of the 6th of the Brewers. On an 0-2 pitch, he lines it into center field, a base hit. And as Prokopek got entirely too much of the plate after he had jumped out in front 0-2.
Should be the approach for the Milwaukee Brewers. You know he's going to be around the plate all the time, so go ahead and be aggressive with 2 strikes in the zone. Mark Loretta getting the ball. What he does best is not trying to drive it into the gap, just put the barrel on the ball, see what happens.
Here's Devon White, a couple of strikeouts already today, 2 of the 9 that Prokopek has. White, as you mentioned, getting up in years now. Hard to believe that he's 39. He has won 7 Gold Gloves, 3 World Series, a 4-time All-Star.
hated flying out to center field. Any ball you hit to center field, the man would track it down. And just looked so graceful doing it. Just kind of gallop, lope, whatever you want to call it, but the guy would cover some turf.
And in his younger years, too, when he was batting and he would hit the ball in the alley, there was a moment of time between first and second when he would say to himself, I got a shot at a triple, and those strides would get longer and longer. Grounded to first, White's retired, throw down to second, and Loretta is out. So a double play.
Prokopek with a nice pitch. Diffusing the early rally. Eric Karros steps on the bag, takes away the force, making this a tag play down at second base. Mark Loretta, not knowing what was going on behind him, he just has to assume that it's going to be a tag play. Dead meat.
So just like that, 2 outs, nobody on for Richie Sexson. Sexson singled and scored on the Burnitz home run back in the second. He flied out in the fourth. It has been a pretty impressive afternoon so far for both of these 23-year-old rookie starting pitchers. Luke Prokopek of the Dodgers and Ben Sheets of the Brewers. Sexson pops it out of play. Prokopek, it's been interesting to watch him as he comes off the field every inning, even if it's been a good inning. When he got out of trouble like he did last inning, he appears to be upset with himself and muttering under his breath at himself as if he should have done better.
That's the intensity level that at some point he'll learn to control and harness, use it to his benefit. A lot of pitchers are very similar in that way. So intense, wanting to be perfectionists out there on the mound, and you just can't do it. You just go about your game the way he just did and minimize the amount of damage and diffuse an early rally.
Now to play 2-2. He's got 9 strikeouts today. He has not walked a batter, and that's one thing that's been pretty consistent about him all season. He has now walked only 25 batters in 109 innings. Pretty remarkable control for a pitcher as young as he is. Jim Colborn, a former 20-game winner here in this town with the Brewers back in the 70s, the pitching coach of the Dodgers.
And they're pitching against a ball club, Milwaukee Brewers, with only 20 walks in the last 13 innings, and plays right into Prokopek's hand. A team that will chase, and we've seen it on a number of occasions, a little slider off the plate to right-handed hitters that the Brewers have been going after all day long.
On deck is Burnitz. His home run accounting for the Milwaukee runs here today. Sexson fouls it back. When you've got a Richie Sexson and Jeremy Burnitz, do you say to them, cut it down on 2 strikes, go the other way, or that's the way they are?
That's the way they are, and you know, we talked about Rod Carew, what a handsy hitter he was, and just let the bat work for him. And
there's yet another strikeout. Richie Sexson, 117 on the season, the major league lead. Prokopek with 10 strikeouts through 6 innings this afternoon is still tied at 2. Top of the 7th inning here at Miller Park, a 2-2 tie. Eric Karros leads it off for the Dodgers, and on the appeal, checked his swing. 1-0 on Karros, who's 0 for 2 today. He'll be followed by Paul LaDuca and Adrian Beltre against Ben Sheets here in the 7th inning. Good look at that good breaking ball from Ben Sheets.
And the ability to throw it on a 1-0 count for a strike.
Comes back with a fastball that Karros drills to deep center field. White's given up, and with good reason. Eric Karros hits a bomb to center. The 3rd solo home run for the Dodgers today, and they've taken a 3-2 lead.
But Ben Sheets has done nothing but throw breaking balls to Eric Karros all day long. Tries to get a little greedy, but the professional hitter that Eric Karros is does not come off his strength, which is the fastball. I don't care how many breaking balls you throw me, I am going to be sitting fastball, and he got one out over the plate, and that's called extension.
So the Dodgers with only 3 hits in this game, all of them home runs. And they have a lead for the first time this afternoon, trying to complete the sweep and make it 11 wins in their last 12 games overall. Sheffield, Green, and Karras, the 3, 4, 5 hitters, have all homered here today. And here's LaDuca.
And just going back to that point, the veteran hitter and Eric Karras, never ever want to come off your strength. An outstanding fastball hitter says, look, if he throws me 3 breaking balls with the torque that those have, I'm a dead duck. I'll battle with 2 strikes, but until then, I'm going to continue to look fastball. And he got one and did some damage.
Yeah.
Great approach to hitting from Eric Karras.
3-0 to count on LaDuca. Sheffield earlier pounded a ball to left field. Sean Green hit a rainmaker to center for his home run. 3-1 on LaDuca. And if you're the Milwaukee Brewers or their fans right now, you're saying, what else can go wrong? Had a lead, couldn't hold it. Can they come back?
Ben Sheets has given up 3 hits.
Back to Bill Pito.
Stan, thank you very much. Another game in progress. The Giants and the Rockies. Colorado, as we told you earlier, and part of that 3-way deal with Oakland and the Royals. Jermaine Dye ending up with Oakland. Nathan Perez going from Colorado, Kansas City. And here Larry Walker, base hit for the Rockies. 1-1, bottom of the second.
Giants try to make some noise in the NL West, trying to catch up to the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers. Right now, Bob Apodaca out to talk to Ben Sheets. As Mike mentioned, he's given up only 3 hits, but all of them home runs. Both pitchers have done well here today.
And that's an outstanding line. 3 hits except for the 3 runs, which were 3 home runs.
Apodaca has had his say. They're starting to scramble out of the bullpen in left center field, getting somebody up from Milwaukee. The bullpen has been one of the strengths, maybe the strength of this Brewer team this year. But because the starters haven't been going as deep into games the last month or so, the bullpen has been getting overworked, and it's starting to take a toll on them to a certain extent. Here's Adrian Beltre. Runner at first, nobody out in the 7th. Right-hander Mike Dejan is up for the Brewers.
Bullpen has been outstanding, as you said. One solid, consistent strength throughout the year.
Look at some of the work that they have gone through. Dejan has been in 47 games. Ray King, 51. Curtis Leskanic, 46. David Weathers, 50. Each and every guy just having to pitch a lot as the starting pitching has not been as good recently as it was earlier in the season.
Davey Lopes likes the matchup game, bringing the righty into the righty, lefty to lefty.
Where would they be without the bullpen?
He's outstanding. 10 and 15, 1-loss record. 3.17 ERA. They'll take that out of your pen any day.
The Dodgers have taken the lead this inning on the homer by Karras. LaDuca at first. 10 on the season for Eric Karras. And it's 3-2 Dodgers. Swing and a miss, and Beltre is gone. Strikeout number 6 for Sheets.
Well, unproductive out for Adrian Beltre. Not advancing the runner. Jim Tracy not electing to bunt in this situation with Alex Cora coming up, but then the pitcher want to keep Prokopec in the game. Just try and take a shot of moving that runner up. Give yourself up. Try and shoot it in the hole, the right side. No action in the Dodger bullpen, so Prokopec coming onto the on-deck circle.
Another throw to first as Cora comes up. LaDuca not much of a threat at first base. He's got a 1 steal on the season. Sexton holding him on. Concerned about Allen.
In this situation, possibly trying to steal this base and get the runner into scoring position. That was all right for a catcher.
Spoken like a catcher.
Exactly. Give him about 5 more years.
Ground ball to the right side. Belliard has it, and will take the sure out on Cora with 2 down. LaDuca moves into second. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. For the most extensive coverage of Major League Baseball, log on to MLB.com. Major League Baseball. Connect with it. We are here at Miller Park in Milwaukee. The roof is closed today. Some less than ideal weather outside. 3-2, the Dodgers lead the Brewers in the 7th, and here is Procopet. Pitcher has struck out and sacrificed today.
Situation Ben Sheets wants. Attack him, get the out, get out of the inning. Minimize the damage with just a solo home run from Eric Karros.
He's 4 for 28 on the season, is Procopet. Into center field. Back goes White, but he'll make the catch. Procopet hit that ball about 375 feet. The home run to lead off the inning by Eric Karros has broken the tie. The Dodgers, looking for their 11th win in 12 games, now lead the Brewers 3-2. Something that is uniquely Milwaukee, the sausage race here. Well, what used to be County Stadium, they have brought the tradition along to Miller Park, and in a stunning upset here today, the Italian sausage held off all of his competitors and defeated, among others, the heavily favored Brat.
Well, the hot dog showing off. Oh, shaking hands, high-fiving, fixing his shades. Look, he gave up the lead.
Yeah.
Just, you know.
He went out too quickly, too early.
It's a blue-collar town. Just run the race.
That's
See,
right.
there he goes.
Trying to get back into it, but the Italian sausage held on for the win. 3-2 Brewers trailing the Dodgers. Bottom of the 7th. Here's Jeremy Burnitz. It was his home run in the 2nd inning, accounting for all the Milwaukee offense here today. They have struck out 10 more times and have now struck out 846 times on the season, easily the most in the majors. They have not walked at all today. They have walked the fewest of any team in the National League this year. 2-1. Procopet still in the game for the Dodgers, and why not? The way that he's been throwing. He's given up only 4 hits. After Burnitz, Hernandez, and then a Mutai. There's a swing and a drive. Green turns and watches it go. Second home run of the game for Jeremy Burnitz, and we're tied once more.
Jeremy Burnitz and one-man wrecking crew for the Brewers today. 2-run homer in the 2nd. Now gets another fastball up, out, over the plate. 2-1 count. Boy, that's middle, and Jeremy Burnitz. Boom, the extension, the explosion. A little simulated game action did him some good today.
His 3rd multi-home run game of the season, the 13th of his career. And right now, it's basically the Dodgers 3 and Burnitz 3 here at Miller Park. Here's Jose Hernandez. He skies a fly ball to center field. Room out there for Christensen when it finally comes down. 1 out.
Talk about middle. What do I mean by middle? Middle of the plate, right down the heart. About belt high. Somewhere in this area, coming out on the home plate, right down the middle, belt high. Look at the extension. Weight is back, stiff front leg, rotation off the backside. Notice the hips. Beautiful swing, Jeremy Burnitz. All that was a line drive, hit about 385 feet.
He's tied the game at 3. All the runs in this game have come on homers. 2 by Burnitz for Milwaukee. 3 solo home runs by Sheffield, Green, and Karras for the Dodgers. One out, bottom of the seventh. James Newton, the left fielder, has struck out twice. Newton really about option number 3 out there for Davey Lopes. Option number 1 is a healthy Jeff Jenkins. Option number 2 recently had been Angel Echeverria, but Davey Lopes has turned to Newton today. Jenkins is often referred to as the Brett Favre look-alike. You get a lot of attention up in these parts when you look like Brett Favre.
Exactly right. Just need him to get himself completely healthy.
1-1 the count on Newton. His hands for ball 2. The Brewers try to snap an 11-game losing streak, the longest in the majors this year, and the longest for Milwaukee since 1994 when they lost a franchise record 14 in a row. They're just at the beginning, really, game 3 of a 12-game homestand, the longest of the year. And they would love to play well in front of these fans who have been so supportive of them this season. Although yesterday, when the Dodgers had a big inning and took a 7-1 lead at the time, there was a lot of booing here at the ballpark.
First semblance of discontentment here in Milwaukee, but they have been fully supportive of this and coming and seeing their pride and joy in the Miller Ballpark.
Full count. Remember, Prokopec has not walked anybody here today. Pretty much as advertised. Throws hard, goes right after you. The competitor, as you called him off the top of the show.
Fearless, and some of that fear got into him a little bit, and Jeremy Burnett's a fearless attitude, but sometimes you got to be a little smart. The one guy that's swinging it well was Jeremy Burnett's, and on a 2-1 count, he challenged him, and Burnett's made him pay.
When the Dodgers signed Prokopec out of Australia, he was a position player. He was a catcher. And then they turned him into an outfielder for a little while, and then into a pitcher. In fact, just about 3-4 years ago. On the outside corner, strikeout number 11 for Luke Prokopec. New career high with each and every strikeout. We have seen some power here today with 5 home runs. We might see some again on Sunday Night Baseball, presented by Nextel under the lights at Wrigley Field. Sammy Sosa and the Cubs hosting Mark McGwire and the Cards as they renew their rivalry. John Miller and Joe Morgan have the call for you. On ESPN Radio, it's Charlie Steiner and Dave Campbell. For more, log on to ESPN.com. Sosa is holding up his end of the bargain this year with 34 home runs. Mark McGwire battling through a lot of injuries and a slump. Did hit one yesterday, his 13th. Fouled off by Henry Blanco, ball and a strike.
How about that Chicago Cubs ball club? Just having all kinds of fun. Finally, that city rallying behind them year in and year out, finally have something to cheer about.
You like their chances the rest of the way?
I tell you, it's awfully hard to discount them now, especially they're going being active. That bullpen they have, the starting pitching, and Lieber, Kerry Wood.
Blanco with a drive, but he pulls it foul. A ball and 2 strikes.
Houston Astros, good young arms. Moises Alou, quietest, solid years, year in and year out. You never hear anything about him. Bagwell, Biggio, Lugo, and Lance Berkman.
Just outside. Giovanni Carrera is up in the LA bullpen right now. 2 outs, nobody on, tied at 3 here in the 7th. And the 2-2 to Blanco, a little bit high and a full count. Prokopec, as you saw, is over 100 pitches. The most that he's thrown in any game this year, just 110. Keeps his pitch count down because he doesn't walk anybody. A pretty good battle between 2 young studs in Prokopec and Sheets. There's another fly ball pulled foul into the second deck.
There's that slider that Prokopec has extreme confidence in, and Henry Blanco says, you know what, this guy throws strikes. looking to gear it up here with a 3-2 count on me. I know he's not going to walk me. He's going to come right at me, possibly his last hitter.
Flare into right field will drop in a base hit. And again, Blanco is on his way to second, and he's in there. Last time, after a late scoring change, it was a single and an error on Christensen, the center fielder. This time, it's a double all the way.
Should have been a double all the way on the last one as well. Got to give those catchers the extra base hits when they can. Looking to swing again. Little poke check down the right field line. Not a bad pitch by Prokopec, but a better job of hitting. Sean Green, good strong throw, but no chance to get Henry Blanco at second base. And out for the meeting of the minds. And Colburn, the pitching coach, taking a look around.
Hitter coming up in Ben Sheets' spot. Angel Echeverria. And Prokopec is given a chance to stay and get him out. Another thing that we were told about Prokopec is a fearless competitor on the mound, and the last thing that he wants to do is give you the baseball and allow himself to come out of the game.
Especially with one of his own runners on base.
There he is out there. Blanco at second. He is the go-ahead run. There are 2 outs in the inning. And up comes Echeverria, a .256 hitter, but as a pinch hitter, he is only 2 for 21. The Brewers as a team have some awful pinch hitting numbers on the season. Ben Sheets' afternoon has come to an end. Prokopec missing badly.
Ben Sheets, nice ball game. 3 home runs, 3 solo shots. Pitching in a home run friendly ballpark. When you give them up, they better be solo.
Those are all the hits that he allowed today. 2-0 the count on Echeverria. Prokopec has Carrera behind him in the pen. David Weathers is now up in the Milwaukee bullpen. Another big crowd here at Miller Park. Looks like we're pushing 40,000 here today in this midweek afternoon game. On the appeal, he didn't go. Good thing for him. That would really sum up all the frustration for Davey Lopes. And a 2-0 pitch with a pitcher maybe on the ropes here to chase a pitch that far out of the strike zone would have just sent Lopes over the edge.
Exactly.
Prokopec hasn't walked anybody today. The Brewers have walked only 5 times in their last 7 games. But they draw one here. A rare occurrence. Going to be all for Prokopec. He just couldn't get the last out of the 7th inning, and Jim Tracy has signaled down to the pen for Carrera.
Shouldn't be too disgusted with himself. Nice outing.
Good battle today between Ben Sheets and Luke Prokopec. Both of them now officially out of the game. Sheets leading for a pinch hitter, and Prokopec lifted with 2 outs, 2 on in the 7th inning. And we've seen this kind of intensity and emotion from him all afternoon long. Just could not get that final out of the 7th, but that should not tarnish what was otherwise a very impressive performance for him, including a career-high 11 strikeouts. It's in the hands of the bullpens now, though. Prokopec with a big afternoon. Really, Jeremy Burnitz was his problem today.
Exactly. His only problem. 11 strikeouts. Got him to chase all day long.
Here's Ronnie Belliard, the second baseman, 0 for 3 today. Runners at first and second, 2 down. Giovanni Carrera has come out of the LA bullpen. Slipped a little more high than inside.
Good live arm, good fastball, little sinking action. You saw the curveball that slipped. Good control of his changeup. One of those solid bullpen cogs for the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Has even filled in on an emergency basis, starting a couple of times. Having the best year he's had at the big league level. Play. He's also pitched for Toronto, Cincinnati, and Colorado, but never with this kind of success. Maybe most impressively, especially as a reliever becoming with men on base, in his 20 appearances, of the 21st batters that he's faced, he's retired 19 of them.
Exactly what you want in this situation here. Come in, put the fire out with 2 outs. That first batter, so important.
1-1 to Belliard. Oh, that one got him. Another breaking ball that just slipped out of his hand. It doesn't appear he's got a good grip on that pitch, and he's loaded the bases.
Well, you saw the breaking ball, the first pitch to Belliard. This one, similar situation, just slips out of the side pocket. You're going to get hit. Get hit in the bummy. Take it on the hip. Well, now you have contact hitter Mark Loretta up. A lot of holes.
A team screaming for a clutch 2-out base hit to drive in a couple of runs. They just haven't been able to get it. And don't think the fans here don't know it. Better than 39,000 in attendance today as Loretta takes outside, ball 1. Look at those numbers.
Atrocious is too good a word for that situation. But Mark Loretta make it all better right now with a key base hit.
Takes it high, ball 2.
It really looks like Carrera's having a tough time getting a grip on the ball. First pitch was a fastball, cut away from him. This pitch a changeup. Nothing on it. Just not throwing with any conviction right now.
Blanco at third, Echeverria at second, Belliard at first. Looked like Loretta was taking all the way there, taking until he took a strike.
And a 2-0 BP fastball at 82 miles an hour. One way to bring yourself back under control.
Carrera works from the windup, the 2-1. Swung on, hit to right field. Green is there, and the inning is over. So the Brewers threaten to break the tie, but can't get it done. They did knock Prokopec out of the game on the earlier home run by Burnitz, his second of the afternoon. It is tied at 3 heading to the 8th here in Milwaukee. In this game, 2 of them by Jeremy Burnitz, but only 6 runs in the game. Tied at 3 going to the 8th. Both starters, Prokopec and Sheets, now out of there. A couple of pretty good bullpens coming on for Milwaukee right now. The 8th inning is right-hander David Weathers, one of the unheralded setup men, middlemen in baseball, a free agent at the end of the season. He and the Brewers are talking, but they haven't agreed on anything yet. But some very impressive work for Weathers this year.
Ground ball pitcher. Good sinking fastball, little slider, excellent changeup.
Christensen with a bunt up the first base line. Weathers fumbles it away. And the leadoff man and potential go-ahead run is aboard.
Well, just fresh in from the bullpen. McKay Christensen thinking he's going to get ahead. What a nice effort on this bunt. This little drag bunt. Pull it down the line with you. Get that head start. David Weathers bends over. Can't get the ball out of his glove. Christensen starts it off with a base hit. And when things are going well, that's what happens for this Los Angeles Dodgers ball club. Things get started in the most unusual way, and they take advantage of it.
Christensen runs well. He's at first, nobody out. Draws a throw. Resalanik is the batter, and then after him, it's the thumpers, Sheffield and Green. With that bunt single, Christensen has raised his batting average back up to 500, 11 for 22 since getting called up last week. Got a pretty healthy lead. Resalanik gets the bunt down. It's a good one. Sacrifice for him with Christensen to second.
Now, the one thing you've seen, Seattle Mariners, Minnesota Twins, Los Angeles Dodgers, they do what needs to be done. Talk about the unselfish play. Asking a veteran hitter and Mark Grudzielanek to get the bunt down so Gary Sheffield has the opportunity to drive him in, and that's what these good ball clubs are doing. They're getting the little things done. They're moving the runners and capitalizing on any team's mistakes.
Here's Sheffield. Pounded a home run to left field back in the 4th inning. His 24th of the season, second in as many games. Takes it inside from Weathers, ball 1.
There's that good hard sinker. You have first base open, but it doesn't mean much when you have the power and hitting ability of Shawn Green standing there on deck. Nobody's up in the bullpen. David Weathers going to try and take Gary Sheffield out of his element, pound him in with sinkers, throw him hard breaking balls down and away.
Fouled back below us, a ball and a strike now on Sheffield. There was not much doubt about his home run back in the 4th.
You just got to let that sound do justice to it. People forget he pounded a few for the Brewers while he was in town.
1-1. Way up in the air, but a very shallow left field. Charging in is Murtaugh. He's there to make the catch for the second out. Well, now with Green coming up and a base open, and the right-handed batter in Karros behind him, if Weathers and the Brewers want to, now maybe they can work around Green a little bit.
All I say, you walk him. You know Shawn Green has a 3-0 green light. He already showed you that in the 1st inning. Henry Blanco out there talking, let's not give him anything good to hit, but that's a negative aspect. If you're going to do the unintentional, intentional walk, why not just stick 4 fingers out, get it over with right now? And that's what they're going to do. You see Davey Lopes signing up the 4 fingers. Take your chances with Eric Karros with that hard sinking fastball coming in on his hands.
Talking about a guy in green who has homered in each of his last 5 games. That's a new career best for him. And the Brewers don't want anything to do with him. Big numbers, 78 RBIs. So instead, it'll be Eric Karros, and he's no slouch. He's already homered today. It was his last time up, in fact. But it appears to be, on the surface, a better matchup for Weathers.
Slower runner, batting on the right side, ground ball, give your infielders a chance to set their feet. That extra half step makes all the difference sometimes.
Weathers and Karros very familiar with one another. And Karros has had some success against him. He is 6 for 20 at 300 batting average lifetime against David Weathers. First and second, a 2 down in a tie game here in the 8th inning. Takes a strike.
Started him off with the slider. Eric Karros looking for that sinker in. David Weathers knowing that. A little get-me-over slider on the outside corner.
And another one induces a ground ball to short to end the inning. Good job by Weathers. The Brewers will come up in the bottom of the 8th with a chance to take the lead. Race about an inning ago. Nothing is more uniquely Milwaukee than the sausage race, other than perhaps you,
Mr. Belvedere, with a microphone.
It's bobblehead day Sunday here at Miller Park, and you know they're going to be scrambling to get here in time to get one of these. This will be a treasured memento for Milwaukee fans for years to come, and it bears a striking resemblance.
Especially for you. Yeah, actually, that's one of the few that looks like him.
He's an institution here in Milwaukee. He's been here for many years, through some good years and some bad years, and you talked about it earlier. This is kind of a unique place. It's, by baseball standards, this is a small market. It's got a different feel about it, even with this beautiful new ballpark. In some ways, this still feels more like a town than it does a city.
Very much so.
Right-hander Matt Hergis has come on for the Dodgers in a 3-3 tie, bottom of the 8th. Devon White rolls one out to second for the first out.
Matt Hergis, heard some of the things said about this young man. 29 walks in 67 innings. The 6 blown saves, yeah, but he comes in. This is the element that he's in. Coming in, semi-stopper, semi-long relief. Good quality relief pitcher.
Chad Kreuter comes in behind the plate. Paul LaDuca has moved from catcher to first base, so Eric Karras is out of the game. But Hergis in the 5 spot of the batting order. Kreuter goes down to the number 9. Richie Sexson is the batter. Singled and scored in the 2nd, applied out of the 4th, struck out in the 6th. Hergis spent 8 full years in the minors before becoming a regular with the Dodgers last year. And last year, just like this year, he had a great season. Mostly as a reliever. He won 11 games last year out of the pen and threw better than 100 innings, and he's on that kind of a pace again this year. A guy like that can do the job of 2 relievers in most bullpens.
Exactly. Arm saver can go out and suck it up for the pen. If someone needs to take a hit, he can do it. He's got stuff. See the good action on the fastball and the late break on the slider. Good movement on the ball. Works down in the zone, gets a lot of ground balls.
Another one of the, relatively speaking, kind of heralded Dodgers who have helped lead them back into contention. Guys like Kevin Brown, when healthy, Gary Sheffield, Sean Green dominate the headlines, but players like Hergis, Paul LaDuca, and some others just as responsible for the Dodger resurgence here in the last month when they've gone 20-6.
That breaking ball. Be careful in this situation. Richie Sexson's a very good high ball hitter. You need to keep the ball down on him. Try and tie him up with a fastball in on his hands. Breaking ball down and away.
Burnett's on deck. He's homered twice today as Sexson lunges forward and strikes out. Bill Pito's got some news.
All right, Dan, as Nomar Garciaparra continues to rehab from wrist surgery, 0 for 3 last night, today against Indianapolis. One of his 2 hits here. He's 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs. So Nomar, an excellent game today. Pawtucket up 5-2 in the bottom of the 4th. And you can see the Major League Red Sox taking on Toronto, ESPN 2 tonight at 7 Eastern. ESPN at 7 Eastern, it's the White Sox and the Indians.
Now, Bill, the Red Sox are going to have Garciaparra spend a couple more days on rehab and then evaluate him over the weekend. Jeremy Burnett takes outside.
A Wednesday day game in Pawtucket.
Those places to be on rehab.
Oh, in Indianapolis?
Well, if they can get Nomar back and Everett back and Saberhagen into their rotation in the next week or so, a different-looking bunch of Red Sox. The big question for them, of course, is when is Pedro Martinez going to come back?
Just amazing how that Red Sox team has been able to compete this entire year with those injuries, especially without Nomar. That is just incredible.
Game and a half back of the Yankees. Burnett's with 2 home runs today, giving him 22 on the season. Burgess tried to bring it back over the inside corner and just missed. Tie game at 3, 2 outs, nobody on, bottom of the 8th. Roof closed. Big crowd, 39,000 and change here at Miller Park. Off the outside, corner ball 3.
Jeremy Burnett, we saw him swing 3-0 at a ball up out of the zone. In a keyhole a little bit more. Look for a pitch that he knows he can drive. Know they're not going to come into him. Look for a pitch out over the plate. Guy has the power to hit the ball the other way out of the ballpark as well.
Full count.
That's just good late moving action from Matt Hergis on that fastball.
Burnett's already with a 3-home run game to his credit this year. Did that against the Cubs back in May. Duda wants it nice and low. And that's not where he gets it. It ends up outside of the ball fours. We send you back to Bill Pino again.
All right, Dan, Mark McGwire for the St. Louis Cardinals just moments ago against Houston, man on. And this one is high. The question, was it deep enough? Lance Berkman back to the track, back to the wall, and just beyond his reach. 14th of the year for Big Mac, 2-run shot, 10-2.
Big Mac heating up, and again you'll see McGwire and Sosa on Sunday Night of Baseball as the Cardinals travel to Wrigley Field. Big meeting between Cruder and Hergis. Burnett at first with 2 down. The batter was Jose Hernandez, who is 0 for 3.
Let that 17 home runs deceive you. He has legitimate pop. Power to all fields, and Jeremy Burnett's ball in the gap. Can get on his horse. Runs very well for his size.
Breaking ball stays high. Just yesterday, Jim Tracy came out and publicly said for the first time, Matt Hergis is my setup guy in front of Jeff Shaw. He deserves it. He and Mike Fetters have been alternating in that role, but Hergis has had the better year. Another breaking ball high, 2-0. It's a pretty deep pen with Fetters down there. The ageless one, the left-hander, Jesse Orosco, 44 years young. And, of course, Jeff Shaw, who doesn't get a lot of notoriety as a closer, but has great numbers. There's Orosco, who has literally been around forever. 44 years of age and still getting left-handers out.
Just in case we take a lead, Curtis Lascanic getting loose. The Brewers closer, Davey Lopes, looking for a ball in the gap. We need a ball in the gap.
Three and 1. 2 are out, nobody on. Hergis walks Burnett and now falls behind Hernandez.
James Mouton, who was struck out 3 times. And the guy's real happy to see Luke Prokopek get out of this ball game. Now you got Jose Hernandez looking to keyhole, looking for a ball in one specific place, and if it's there, juice it. If not, let it go.
Grounded in the hole at short. Cora sliding, long throw, way high. Now a high throw to the bag, but as we wait for the call, what's it going to be? Out. Hernandez is out at second. The Dodgers get a break on the bounce as the ball comes back into play, and the Brewers do not score. Right, it winds up being wrong as Alex Cora's throw sails over first base, hits the dirt, then off that little tiny cement base of the wall down there in front of the cameras, bounces way up in the air, right to Paul LaDuca, who guns out Hernandez going to second.
Unbelievable. Dodgers' best friend right now is that lip, and Brewers are going, you got to be kidding me. That ball can't bounce into that bay.
So it's still tied at 3. Short hop, the little cement lip right there, bounced right back to
3 or 4
first.
inches.
Now LaDuca comes up to lead off the 9th inning, and he sends one deep into left center field where Devon White runs it down.
Devon White, we talked about how graceful he is. This ball smoked in the left center field alley. Still has the speed to make it up. Look, it starts out slow, finds the ball, doesn't even look like he's running. How effortless is that? runs it down, no problem. The ageless one. Great physical shape.
Now the next batter, Beltre with a fly ball. This one routined away. Now the first baseball game I ever did as an announcer, the first pitch, Brady Anderson hit a fly ball to deep right center. White's jogging back, and I can tell from the way he's running, or I thought I could, that he had no chance at the ball. I thought it was gone over the fence. He reaches up at the last second, you know, just puts the glove out by his head.
No problem.
He fooled me. He just makes it all look so easy out there. 2 outs in the inning, and here's Cora. David Weathers working in his second inning for the Brewers. Ben Sheets went 7 as the starter for Milwaukee, gave up 3 runs on only 3 hits, all solo homers. Cora with a fly ball, right center field. And this one's going to split the outfielders.
Ground rule double, bounced up over the wall, off the cement wall, and back in. No chance to catch up to that one, and Alex Cora sure put a charge in that. David Weathers trying to sneak a fastball in. Hit Henry Blanco's glove, but awfully hard to trick young hitters inside late in the count. Bouncing up and over, off the wall, back into play. Now Chad Kreuter with a chance. With the double switch moving down to the 9-hole. Base hit put him ahead.
Kreuter's first at bat of the game. Three tie. Top of the 9th inning. Runner at second, 2 down. Weathers got in some trouble in the 8th, but he got out of it. Now a 2-out double for Cora here in the 9th. Kreuter first pitch swinging with a ground ball to short, and the inning is over. So here come the Brewers in the bottom of the 9th with a chance to win for the first time in their last dozen games. 3, bottom of the 9th. Here's a visual recap of what's gone on here today. Burnitz with a 2-run homer to give Milwaukee the lead. Sheffield and Green go back-to-back to tie it. Then Karras gives the Dodgers the lead, only to see Burnitz answer. If you haven't homered, you haven't driven in a run here today. 5 homers accounting for the 6 runs. 3-3 tie. Good outings by both of the starting pitchers today. Prokopek for the Dodgers, Sheets for the Brewers. And given the way Milwaukee has struggled and given the futility for them recently, if they can somehow, some way, scratch out a run here to win it in the bottom of the 9th, this place will treat it like it's a World Series.
All those guys on the bench over there right now are saying, you know what, we're due for a little bit of some love. We need some breaks, something to go right our way. Starting it off with James Mouton, who struck out first 3 ABs today. Those guys deserving of a break, but you make your breaks. Get the opportunity and get it done.
They do have the bottom of third of the lineup coming up here in the 9th inning. Mouton, Blanco, and then the pitcher spot. And they don't really have a great bat off the bench. First pitch to Mouton is in there for a strike. The most likely pinch hitter is Luis Lopez, a switch hitter. He's a guy that Davey Lopes has called on often, but he hasn't had any success pinch hitting, and I mean that literally. He's 0 for 18. Let's see how Lopes plays it. Matt Hergis in his second inning of work for the Dodgers.
And all against Matt Hergis, who done some pretty nasty stuff working today with the power sinker and the good curveball.
1-1 to Mouton. Outside ball 2. There's one other bat on the bench Davey Lopes would probably consider. That's Mike Coolbaugh, but he's a right-handed batter. It all depends on how he wants to play it. Jeff Jenkins, of course, didn't start. Got a bad shoulder and a bad hand, and his availability is very doubtful at this point.
Yeah, he'd be taking a few swings underneath in the tunnel a little bit right now if there was any chance of him getting in. But if you're going to sit him down to get him healthy, You can't do it. Louis Lopez getting loose. Looks like he'll be the guy coming in.
2 balls and 2 strikes on a Mouton leading off the bottom of the 9th. 0 for 3 today, all strikeouts. Down the right field line, could be trouble. And it is. Well, the Brewers wanted a break. They just got one here.
Well, we talked about this Brewer team needing a little bit of a break. 2-2 count on James Mouton. Ball just eats him up. But balls that are up in the strike zone have a tendency to get blooped in. Tried to tie him up. Grzelcyk chasing after it. Had a double anyways, but bounces in the stand for a ground rule double, and there you go. That's the first break that this Brewers team has had in a long time.
Expression of Davey Lopes rarely changes, but his team has a chance to pick up a win here. Henry Blanco is the batter. He has had a good day. Couple of hits, a single, hustled it to second base back in the 5th inning, although Christensen was charged with an error on the play. Then picked up a double in the 7th. He squares, and he takes a strike, and the throw back to second is close, but Mouton is back in safely.
That's a tough play for the runner. You're the runner on second base, knowing you have to get to third base. Henry Blanco has the bunt on. You see him square around and see that the ball is right dead center in the middle of the plate. And man, oh man, the guy pulls the bat back and you're left out in no man's land. Nice job of hustling back by Mouton. Just got in ahead of Chad Kreuter's throw.
Blanco has 3 sacrifices this season. Squares again, and he gets it down. And give him another sacrifice. The winning run is now at third base with 1 out.
Henry Blanco gets this bunt down towards the right side. Paul Lo Duca, normally the catcher, playing first base, comes charging in. Let's see how close this could have been at third base. The way things are going for the Dodgers, hey, make sure you get yourself an out. Paul Lo Duca not feeling it was worth the risk to get him at third base. Probably a wise decision. Now you have an opportunity to do a lot of things. Louis Lopez handles the bat extremely well. Might see a pitch out or 2 here to defense the squeeze.
Infield in, outfield in for the Dodgers. Remember Lopez, who's pinch hitting now in the pitcher's spot. 0 for 18 as a pinch hitter this season. Takes a strike.
And Louis Lopez has to do, if the squeeze is not on, make sure you put the ball in play. Looking down, getting a sign from Gary Allenson at third base, whispering whether or not the squeeze is on or not.
Mouton with pretty good speed at third.
Good time for a pitch out.
Missed up and away. From Lopes to Allenson to Lopez.
I think the Brewer fans know how to respond right now. They haven't been in this situation in a while. Gets quiet all of a sudden when Allenson is throwing down the signs.
A near capacity crowd. 1-1. 2 balls and a strike. Inside?
Yeah. Making things interesting. I know Matt Hurd just wanted it, but I don't see Chad Kreuter making any sound.
And the Brewers snapped the longest losing streak in the majors this season, 11 in a row. Time called. And Davey Lopes wants to start over.
Trying to get Gary Allinson's attention. Generally, that wipe across the chest is the wipe sign. The clear sign, the erase sign, start over sign.
New set of signs into the game. Lopez has his instructions. Burgess works from the stretch. Three balls in his strike.
And the breaking ball from Matt Hergis. You don't have to give in this situation to Louis Lopez, but understand you have two bases open. But the further you get down the line, Devon White, Richie Sexson, next guys you're going to have to face if you load the bases. Set up a double play situation with a walk to Louis Lopez.
Ron Belliard is the on-deck hitter. New time. Dancing down the line attracts the attention of Hergis.
Trying to induce him into a box situation, stepping off with the wrong foot.
Little cat and mouse here between pitcher and base runner.
Eric Karros coming over to have a word with Paul LeDuc, excuse me. Not a bad advantage when you got two catchers out on the field at one time.
Mouton began the inning with a bloop ground rule double down the right field line. Blanco bunted him to third. Now Lopez, the pinch hitter.
An intentional walk to set up the double play for Ron Belliard.
First and third with one out for Belliard, who's 0 for 3, hit by a pitch his last time up. And now Tracy to the mound for a little conference with the entire infield.
Going to lay out the situations that they have, see how Matt Hergis wants to approach this. You got a good contact hitter and Mark Loretta hitting behind Ron Belliard. I don't imagine you're going to walk him. If you walk him, you have a force at any base. Decent speed from Belliard. Might be an awfully hard double play to turn.
What would you do?
I've always been under the approach that you walk him with a runner on third. You load the bases, get the force out at home plate at any chance you can.
Davey Lopes has his idea, but he really has to wait to see what kind of game plan the Dodgers have. Is Hergis going to pitch to Belliard or put him on and load him up for Loretta? Belliard with 2 home runs in last night's game, 0 for 3 today. One of the few Brewers with some good clutch numbers on the season, well over 300 with runners in scoring position. Infield kind of halfway, outfield still in close.
You're trying to take away the line drive, short line drive from the batter. Anything over your head's going to be deep enough to score him anyways if you catch it.
They'll pitch to him. Shallow right field. On comes Green to make the catch, and Mouton's not going anywhere on that arm. 2 down.
Well, good pitch by Matt Hergis. Looking for the ground ball, throws that good 2-seam fastball, just eats Ron Belliard up. Doesn't get the fly ball deep enough to right field, and Sean Green with the outstanding arm. Best one in the outfield. There's the jam shot. No way you're going to score on Sean Green's arm from that close. Perfect one-hop throw to Chad Fruiter.
So Belliard can't come through. 2 down now. And now it's up to Mark Loretta. So much frustration for the Brewers the last couple of weeks. So many situations just like this, not necessarily in the 9th inning, but a good start to an inning, a runner in scoring position. Got him over to third with 1 out, and this has been more than any other part of the game. This has been where the Brewers have been coming up short during this 11-game losing streak.
But not a bad guy to have up in this situation in Mark Loretta. Knows how to handle the bat. Doesn't try and do too much. Very, very good contact hitter.
Inside a ball 2, and the runner down to second, uncontested.
Again, that run means nothing. The winning run is at third base. Chad Kreuter comes up in this position, keeps the ball in his mitt. Watch how he keeps the ball in his mitt and is throwing nothing but air. Trying to give that runner on third, maybe try and see if he steps off an extra play. That's a good old-fashioned trick. You have to sell it with the arm motion.
There's the winning run. Mouton at third. 2-0 pitch, swung on into center field, a base hit, and Milwaukee finally wins a game.
Good contact hitter in Mark Loretta. Ball up in the zone, doesn't try and pull it, keeps his hands inside the ball. Game-winning base hit.
The coldest team in the majors just beat the hottest team in the majors by a score of 4-3. Mark Loretta coming up with an RBI single with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th inning to score James Mouton. And Davey Loeb says, you know what, keep it. It's been that kind of a day. Finally, the frustration comes to an end for the Brewers as they beat the Dodgers for the first time this year, and more importantly, win for the first time in 12 games. Mark Loretta with a line drive into right center field. Not much of a chance at all for Christensen to get there. Come on, says Mouton. That ball gets down, and he gets home. And 39,001 will go home very happy here today. Davey Loeb's pretty pumped.
About time, and we talked about this team needing something done. A clutch 2-out base hit, and they got it from Mark Loretta. James Mouton starting it off with that Blue Crown Rule double.
David Weathers the win, 3-4. Matt Herges the loss, 8-7. Good ball game here at Miller Park today. The final score: the Brewers 4 and the Dodgers 3. Coming up next here on ESPN, it's DK Dirt. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com. For Mike McFarland and our entire ESPN crew, I'm Dan Shulman. Thanks for watching here today, and good afternoon from Milwaukee. Don't forget, more baseball coming up tonight on ESPN and ESPN2. Brewers win 4-3. Now back to the studio.